Okay, good. Good. Finally, good. I'll wait for it to actually go live. Okay. Alright, okay, we're live. Okay, great. Hello! Welcome to the stream, the newest roster stream, and in this one we're going to be talking about Hyrule Warriors 2. And joining myself and Slink, we have a special guest. Guest?
Guess the guest.
Chris. Guest
Ahoy.
Yes,
Ahoy.
Tris is with us. Talk about Zelda, which is right
Quite
up
the
your
shocker.
alley. Yeah.
Me talk about Zelda?
I know, it's just, are you sure you're going to be up for it? It's a
Alright.
whole new world for you. So, one of the things we're going to do, that I just wanted to clarify before, get the rules out there, is that this is a sequel to Hyrule Warriors 1, specifically, not a sequel to Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. We are imagining this as a direct follow-up to the Wii U game that got a 3DS and Switch ports re-release, whatever you'd want to call them. So that's what we're thinking of stylistically, and that also is like in terms of gameplay how we're thinking, because like how in Age of Calamity Link had access to like a ton of weapons because it was following the Breath of the Wild formula, whereas the original Hyrule Warriors had individual weapons, like character specific weapons, which I mean Age of Calamity had for some of these side characters as well, just not Link. Anyway, so what we've done, we've actually given ourselves quite the restriction on this one, because the original Hyrule Warriors had 42 characters by the end of it, with all its DLCs and alternate versions, but we've actually limited ourselves down to 40 characters, so less than the final, and that includes DLC. So we have DLC at the end. So we've got 40 characters.
Characters, play styles, however you want to look at it.
Characters and play styles. So, for example, Link and then Link with the gauntlets and Link with the magic rod would count as 3 characters on this. So, did we give characters alternate weapons to taking up a slot, or did we make every character unique? There's spoilers. Gonna spoil it.
There's a little hint. Who did I do that for? You got to find out.
Okay, so the order we're gonna go in for this one will be Triss first, then myself, and then Slink at the end. And we'll be going through all of Triss' roster, all of my roster, all of Slink's roster. Without further ado, then, Slink, are we ready for Triss to begin going through theirs?
Give me a moment. I'm just trying to. Oh, cool! I can just put a PSD on screen. Nice, cool.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah. To explain and delay some time, why we were late. There was a formatting issue, basically. We have all these rosters in a specific order so that it's following the same style for everyone and all this, but due to some behind-the-scenes errors, I'll put it, a bunch of the graphics are just completely all over the place, not formatted correctly. So we had some last-minute scrambling to do. This is the issue when half the team is in America, well, most of the team, not even half, basically all the team is in America, and we do this in the morning in America.
Yeah.
So it's waking up and then being like, oh no.
Oh no. Everything's gone so wrong.
And we underestimated how long it would take us to fix it, unfortunately.
The very funny thing is going to be that I'm going to assemble mine live.
Yeah, didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer, and I mean, I don't want to be here till like 8 o'clock my time, so I need to make dinner and stuff.
Yes. So we have Triss up first, and I'm going to. Oh no! Oh, there was a little funny glitch error where it showed the entire roster on screen. I hope nobody saw that.
Oh, no, I put my hand in front of it, so
Mm.
I don't know. So I think we're good. I think
All right.
nobody rewind and pause the stream. Bad etiquette that.
Yeah. All right. So if you want to set the stage, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
Was that it? Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're first.
Yeah.
You're first.
Okay. So my thought process here really is okay. So building off the original Hyrule Warriors, who would stay, who would go? If it's literally the same iteration of Link, Zelda, etc., who would they call to the battlefield again? What would happen? And my other thought process was looking at the original Hyrule Warriors. Link has more than 5 weapons, and I kind of feel like, gee, that space could go to having some more characters too. So. I still have Link versatile, just nowhere near as versatile. So that being said, of course the first character is Link with the Hylian sword.
Whoa.
But you don't have the Master Sword as a separate weapon.
Mhm.
That's just the most powerful version of his normal weapon. I feel like that's probably the best way to handle that, so...
Yeah, no, I mean, that's the smart way to do it. Like, just have it be a separate thing within that. Like, now they can have more than 3 weapons, just make the Master Sword the 4th one.
Yeah, exactly. Make that the 4th one, make that the highest level. Like, you can only get it, make Link's weapons, like, required unlocks through the story.
Yeah.
Or at least the sword upgrades required unlocks.
Mhm.
And then you make that specific one be, like, what you get, like, near the end.
Yeah, the best one.
Instead of, locking all the upgrades to the side modes. So I think that's a good start for Link. But, of course, the other thing that Link is well known for is Epona and riding a horse. So I have as his second moveset that he would have early on is the horse.
There it is. El Horse.
I like how it's not Link and horse, it's horse. Horse is the playable character.
Horse.
Then you're running around as the horse. Link is just going for a ride.
Right. Obviously, Link has like a bunch of other abilities that he gets like throughout the original Hyrule Warriors. But while I like a lot of them, like the spinner's really fun, for example, I felt if they brought any others back or did any other ones, those would kind of be saved for like DLC. So I do have another one for Link, but that's way later. So slight spoiler there that there's something for Link.
But last you've seen a Link.
Next up I have, and you guys will kind of notice the order I have as we reveal and as we go down here. The next one I have is Zelda. And it really bothered me that in the original Hyrule Warriors, she's like the 6th or 7th character slot. She's really late comparatively.
Yeah, you gotta have the mystery behind who Sheik's gonna be first for a little bit.
You're right.
No one knows that.
So of course, being the same Zelda, I gave her the rapier, like the same sword that she has in the original Hyrule Warriors. You figure Link and Zelda, pretty standard. They're probably gonna have the same base movesets, although probably expanded upon. Starting off, but in addition to the rapier, I gave her the Bow of Light as well, because that's kind of Age of Calamity Zelda's second weapon. And I really love how they incorporated her abilities in that. And I think in a style of the original Hyrule Warriors, giving her specifically the Bow of Light, I could see her being really like agile, but also really magical at the same time. So I think there's a lot of really fun ideas you could do there with it. Instead of slowly floating around, you kind of have a combination of basically like the magic from her rapier and then like Linkle's agility, I would say.
Okay. Yeah, she didn't have. Yeah, the Bow of Light wasn't a weapon that she had in the original.
Her weapon choices in the original Hyrule Warriors were really strange because why would you give her the Wind Waker and then add Toon Link and not give him the Wind Waker? Like, well, it was kind of weird.
Toon Link was a couple years later. Yeah,
you're right, but they could have changed things.
they were very clearly choosing from games that had kind of cohesive art styles, and they were like, okay, we'll pay tribute to the Toon games. We'll give Zelda the Wind Waker, and we'll make like the mural art, giving the backstory for every level, kind of similar to the Toon style. And then they just included them in Legends.
They're like,
yeah, they went all out of Legends.
Okay, timeline looks like this now.
yeah, it did wonders for the timeline, that's for sure. It's actually kind of funny. You can find the original.
Well,
don't worry.
Well, spoilers, but
yeah,
you can accurately place the original Hyrule Warriors after Twilight Princess in the timeline because like it all actually like fits along that, and then everything with Wind Waker, they're like this is some other timeline. Like I don't know what's going on here. It's like wow, you accurately placed exactly where this is. You kept that in mind. That's kind of weird.
Well,
But
yeah, even like artistically. They're very similar to the Ganondorf from Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Ganondorf, yeah, he really does feel like he's kind of built off of that one too. Obviously a bit more Dynasty Warriors influence, but yes, Ganondorf obviously would come back. Obviously he'd be one of the main playable characters. I put him in here as the third slot, or I guess not counting the multiple weapons third slot, but I think I couldn't tell or decide if he would have the dual swords or the trident, to be honest, because I think he's so well known for both now that I almost feel like he would just have like a dark magic weapon, and he kind of like for different attacks summons different weapons. So some attacks would use dual swords, some attacks would use the trident. It just depends on what he's doing at the moment. Because I think at this point, Ganondorf is incredibly versatile with his demonic magic. That it's just Ganondorf. It doesn't need to be a specific one of those weapons. He'll use them all if he has to.
Yeah, Ganondorf can use whatever he wants.
So next up, also returning from the original Hyrule Warriors, I've got Impa with her Naginata. Because I think that... Because I think that moveset actually kind of feels more fitting to the established character of Impa there.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not the same as like the big sword, but it also adds like weapon style variety of the characters.
Actually, if you look at all of the concept art for Impa in Hyrule Warriors, she has the Naginata. The sword was later.
Really?
They did the
That's
big sword
really funny.
later.
That's
Naginata
really funny.
is the better moveset of the two as well.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I think that's the one that kind of represents her as a Sheikah much better too. So I kept that because I think that's well defining. It's like the fire weapon instead of Link with the magic rod. I didn't really factor in the elemental stuff, but I think it does kind of help balance of, you know, Link's light, Zelda's light, Ganondorf's dark. There you go. We'll have that. Because water always felt kind of weird for Impa as well. But again, I'm not factoring the elements in that much here. But I do have a second weapon for Impa, and it's not the Great Sword. Okay. It's the Kodachi, which is her weapon from Age of Calamity. And I actually think it would be really cool if they incorporated the ideas behind her moveset from Age of Calamity into this Impa, into this game. Instead of pulling that Impa from Age of Calamity. Because, let's be real, we could pull from that now. I think giving this Impa an alternate moveset inspired by that one, I think would be really cool, and it would let this Impa shine as, okay, this is her take on her abilities as a Sheikah. This is the kind of way she would handle these different abilities. Maybe some of the moves would be exactly the same, maybe some would be completely different, but I think that was such a fun moveset in Age of Calamity, I wouldn't want it to fully go away.
No, I like that moveset a lot for Impa. I didn't bring over that for Impa on my own roster, but for a reason, another character has something similar instead.
Okay. We will see.
We will see. We'll see. All right. Next of the Hyrule Warriors returning characters is Lana, who, I mean, if you're going to have some sort of level of crossover, you need at least Lana or Sia, and I kind of didn't want to add both. I kind of feel like Lana was the one that made a bigger impact in terms of her presence in the story. Yes, there's the whole epilogue of saving Sia, and now she's all good, but I think Lana would be the one to actively stick around and adventure if there was some other, I don't want to say it, but multiversal threat. That's basically what it is. So if there was some sort of threat presented from these alternate timelines and these other eras coming up, I think she would be the one to spring into action, since they can't merge back into one being, I think.
No, they
You
can't.
can have Sia as an NPC, but I don't think we need her actively playable again. So I got Lana. I'm not sure which of her movesets. Maybe a new moveset for her. Just something neat, because being the Koei Tecmo OC, I think they would give her a lot of love. They already did. They gave her like 3 movesets in the original. So
Yeah, that third one was like rough. They really put that together last minute. It's really fun, but like, woo, it's glitchy.
Yes, it is. Which is why I think they would give her something new and fun. Probably some moves reminiscent to the original, or one of her original movesets, but I think she would get something brand new. And the last of the OCs from the original Hyrule Warriors that I have is Linkle, because I can't imagine they wouldn't bring her back. She became like incredibly beloved by both fans and the entire development team, to the point of Al Numa saying he wants to put Linkle in a Zelda game. It hasn't happened yet, though.
You can say a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. She'd probably have her crossbows, but I could also see them giving her the love of like some brand new weapon style for her. It would also be interesting to have a story where she's actually here from the start and knows Link and Zelda this time, hopefully. Maybe she finally learns that she's not actually the hero, or maybe she goes the entire story thinking she still is and is competing with Link. That would be kind of funny. But
That would be good.
now we go into all the crossover characters.
Yeah,
Crossover? I don't know.
Non-OC territory.
Yeah. Actual representation from the other Zelda games. And starting with Ocarina of Time characters, we've got Darunia back, of course. I mean, really, really fun moveset in the original. And we're starting to enter the territory where I feel like a lot of the characters that were in the original would probably come back to some degree. Either as playable characters or some sort of like supervising role. Maybe, maybe they don't take active combat roles anymore. But I do think a lot of the crossover characters would come back, and you'll kind of see that here throughout. But which ones? I'm not sure if he would keep the same weapon, or now that we have like actual these other Zelda races doing other things in more games now, maybe they would actually come up with a completely different moveset for him. But to go with Darunia, we've also got Rudo. So the same 2 sages, I mean, they're iconic. And realistically, the roles filled by a lot of the other sages, I feel, can be filled by other characters. And sure, nowadays with Darunia and Rudo, sure, you have Daruk and Mipha, but there's something special about these 2. They were the sages originally chosen to be represented. Kind of be a little sad to cut them.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that.
All right,
But-
my download overlay might show up on the bottom screen of my computer, which is okay. We're safe. No spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers. We're good. All right. Well, these are not the only 2 Ocarina characters I have here, and no, that is not Sheik. My thought process was the original Hyrule Warriors was kind of lacking in the represented villains category. So if we had a new one, I think they would pull in more villains. So I had to bring in the Twin Rova. I think they're honestly really underused as villains. There was a period of time where they kept coming up, and then they're even like in Tears of the Kingdom, but very easy to miss for some reason, even though I thought for sure they were going to do something with them. Yeah, it really is just an Easter egg. So getting the Twin Rover from Ocarina would be really cool as a moveset, because you can have the giant fused form, which would basically be like an anti-Great Fairy. And then you have like when they separate for maybe like a bunch of like AoE attacks, which I think would be really interesting for representing a rather strong villain from Ocarina. How can you have Ganondorf and not bring in the Twin Rovo if you're bringing in other servants of his? Like they're pretty big.
Yeah, she's like the main servant for Ganondorf, like consistently. If you ignore his phantoms, of course, which he makes himself.
True. Yeah. I see in chat asking about the Twin Rova in Tears. Yeah, in a few cutscenes, there are 2 Gerudo women that stand by Ganondorf that are meant to be the 2 Twin Rova. They have the exact same skin color, and you would never notice it, but their weapons have their names written on it in Gerudo.
Yeah, Kome and
That's like
Kotake.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is something
they've got,
they
like,
only had there. But
they've got like a piece of clothing that kind of goes over their shoulder that has their
Yep.
names and in the same colors as well, the red and blue to
Yep.
each one.
Yep, and it's so weird they did nothing with that. It is like just an Easter egg.
It is just
Like
an Easter
I
egg.
thought for sure we were gonna get DLC that like went over that or something. Nope.
Nope.
But so Hyrule Warriors 2 can be when the children ever get the time to shine again. And of course, you know, we have, unlike Age of Calamity, we have the idea of you do get to play the villains here. So just like the original Hyrule Warrior. So any of Ganondorf's villains or underlings that he brings in, you get to play as them too. So that's why Twinrova takes that third Ocarina slot.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But now, moving on, we've got Midna. And I need to stress, given that this would be after the original game, I don't know if Midna would actually be fully Imp or True Form Midna. I guess it depends on when they would pull from in the actual story, although they also kind of contradict it by bringing in True Form Midna in the DLC. So my thought process would be, it's a new moveset for Midna that for some moves, she would transform.
Yeah.
All right. Like, give her the Twilight Realm Gate or whatever as her weapon.
It's
Yeah.
it's really funny actually, because in the expansion scenario with Linkle that they have in Legends, she is back to her true form, but then she gets cursed at the end.
That's right. That's
to
right.
get reverted.
I forgot about that.
I think that's what happened. It's silly. It's funny.
Yeah, just a way to have the Twilight
Yeah.
version of her.
Yeah, but that's why I feel like instead of a separate slot for True Midna or like a separate weapon, it would just be in the middle of her moves. Some of them would make her transform, some of them would keep her an Imp. Probably, yeah, we would just have some reason why she's default Imp, but some moves would have her transform into True Form, or vice versa. She's True Form, some moves turn her into an Imp. I don't know. But I definitely think they could come up with an interesting moveset that combines the two, instead of needing to take up two whole separate slots or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, also from Twilight Princess, I've got Zant. And you'll notice I skipped over somebody that I don't think would come back, personally.
How dare you?
You've got somebody in the audience very mad at you right now. And that's not a hypothetical. I know a guy.
No, unfortunately, I don't think Agatha would come back. But Zant, I mean, come on, main villain of Twilight Princess for majority of the game. I think they did a really great job with this moveset in the original, feeling like his boss battle, which is really cool. And I would be shocked if he wouldn't come back. Like, Twilight Princess had a lot of representation in the original. You need at least Midna and Zant to come back.
Yeah.
But I do have another Twilight Princess character, actually. And it
Oh,
isn't
boy.
Agatha. It isn't Agatha. But a new one. And I spent a while actually thinking, like, who could they choose to represent Twilight Princess? And I think the Hero Shade could make for a really interesting character. Like, you have this implied version of Ocarina of Time Link. You have this, like, Stalfo's version who could transform into a wolf, just like Twilight Princess Link. And he just embodies the hero spirit. So I think there's a lot of cool things they could do for a moveset of his that kind of showcases just the different skills and abilities that he's learned over the years. And as a spirit, make it like a kind of terrifying too.
Mm-hmm. Lean into his role in the manga.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's a lot of really cool things you could do with that character that I'm kind of surprised like he didn't show up in the original Hyrule Warriors in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I'm surprised
even
they
if
have
it was
like a costume for Link.
Yeah, like a costume referencing it, or even like if there was like a training mode and he's like the one training you, like just something that would be so cool. But no, make him playable. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, Hero Shade is a fun idea. I didn't even think of it.
And now I'm curious what you thought of, so we'll get to that soon enough.
Yeah.
Do you have an oddball idea, Nanten?
I think I do. I think I do.
Ooh.
Okay, all three of us have an oddball idea. I'm excited.
Oh, that's exciting.
I'm
That's
excited.
exciting. All right. Well, not very oddball is my next one on here, moving into Skyward Sword with Fi, because again, she absolutely would come back. There's no way she wouldn't. I would just kind of hope they do a little bit more with her moveset. I liked it originally, but I feel like there's a little bit more that she could do, given that she is the goddess sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times I felt like she felt a little too weak in some of her moves.
Yeah. It's Fi. That's how they pronounce it in Hyrule Warriors, and also that is just how it is.
Yeah.
Check the Japanese. I mean, that's how that is even pronounced to begin with in the actual word. So.
And of course, also returning from Hyrule Warriors, from Skyward Sword.
I mean,
Of course
also
returning from Hyrule Warriors.
from Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, would be Girahim. I mean, iconic character, and they did such a good job incorporating like all of his different abilities in the original Hyrule Warriors. He's a really fun moveset.
I love that he transforms.
Yes, I love that he transforms, and it's so well done too. So I fully expect the two of them would come back. But they would not be alone this time, because I'm so upset not a single DLC or re-release of this game did it. So I'm doing it this time. We're bringing Gruz this time. There's no way Gruz would miss out on...
There's a reason that I put him in the thumbnail. He's the one.
Like, the fact that the original Hyrule Warriors has the Gruzinator as a mechanic in one of the maps for the story, but no Gruz anywhere, like, come on. Like, you can have a really fun bomb-based moveset for him that maybe even involves him flying on, like, his Loftwing. Like, there's so many little things he could do that I'm baffled he was never considered for the original game. So, do it this time, Nintendo and Koei Tecmo.
I think Bruce is going to be like the one new character who appears in everyone's roster. I'm pretty confident.
I'm pretty confident in that too, but not even just ours. Like, he was like the #1 most like fan requested character.
Yeah.
Like, anyone, if they looked at a Hyrule Warriors 2, you're just like, oh, Gruz, please. Like, if he's not in the reveal trailer, you did it wrong.
Yeah. But alright, well, we got up next then.
Next, I move into Majora's Mask with Skull Kid. And I imagine there's a lot more they could do with Skull Kid beyond the Ocarina and Tattle and Tail. Maybe even more kind of Majora's Mask specific abilities of like the entity itself. Maybe like, you know, show a little bit more of the corruption from it all. I think there's a lot of fun things they could do with him. And there's now that you have so many Majora's Mask characters in the roster, there's no way Skull Kid wouldn't come back. Like, such an iconic character in all of Zelda. That being said, I did not elect to bring back Tingle or Young Link, but Young Link is here to a degree.
No,
specifically
right there.
specifically as Deku Link.
Oh,
Because it kind of bothered me that in the original Hyrule Warriors, he was pretty much just Fierce Deity Link as long as you got your magic age up. That's what the focus was. And as cool as that is, Link also having the Fierce Deity costume, I kind of wanted something different as a moveset. And I feel like if you go with one of the transformation masks, there's a lot you could do. But given that we already have Goron and Zora characters, specifically Deku Link could be really, really interesting as a really fast-paced character, spinning around, spitting bubbles, and other Deku-based and like Kokiri-based abilities that you see throughout the Zelda series. There's a lot you could do with that. Yeah, and then you kind of represent the start of the game.
Yeah, I contemplated having a Deku character on my roster. I was leaning towards the Deku Merchant instead of Deku Link specifically, but incorporating a lot of Deku Link's ideas into that because I was like, I can work across the Dekus, but I didn't go with it in the end. So that's something that's got Dekus.
That's fair. My thought process is Deku Link is kind of the most iconic of the transformation, the base transformation mask, not counting Fierce Deity Link. So I felt you could do the most with that, and you still have Young Link here in a way. Then it's just specifically as Deku Link. Maybe it is literally Young Link, and at the start of like cutscenes or whatever, he transforms specifically into Deku Link to fight. But there's a lot of fun things you could do there. I did cut Tingle though.
Absolutely.
I did cut Tingle. So we are moving on into Wind Waker era, or Toon Link era, I guess more specifically. Because first up, I've got Toon Link. Specifically, I have listed his main weapon would be the Skull Hammer. So instead of being another sword user, he would use the Skull Hammer as like the main upgradable weapon, but he would actually use in the moveset a lot of weapons from Wind Waker specifically. Kind of like how in the original Hyrule Warriors, he uses the Deku Leaf a lot. We would see like the Deku Leaf, the Boomerang, like the Wind Waker itself in a lot of like the combos and special attacks. But the Skull Hammer is like the main thing he'd be carrying around using for the most part.
Okay. Interesting. I actually thought I was unsure on whether or not you would keep Toon Link or not. Like, I mean, obviously you love Toon Link, so
right.
keeping him around makes sense.
Well, it's because I kind of feel like very specifically, if we're having multiple links and like specifically Link, not like a transformed Link or anything, Toon Link kind of has the most other appearances to warrant multiple weapons. Which means, yes, I did also bring back the Sand Rod for him to represent, to specifically represent Spirit Tracks and the train. I imagine it would probably play out the same way, but I think he represents like such an era of Zelda rather than a specific game at this point that you kind of give him weapons to represent the different ones, and that actually works pretty well. I liked how the original Hyrule Warriors, the sword set that he got was like the different powerful sword from the different 3 Wind Waker era games. But I think giving him a weapon that is versatile and utilizes the different items that he gets throughout the games would be really fun, which is why I have both of these here. Next up, I do have Tetra, because she was like the face of the Wind Waker story of the original Hyrule Warriors. So there's no way she wouldn't come back as well. Probably similar moveset. I still think the idea that they gave her like a gun and the cutlass, like the fact that they made her like really pirate and first gun in Zelda, that's awesome.
Yeah. I like what they did for her moveset in Hyrule Warriors. Like, as someone who's always been big on like Tetra and Smash, but trying to think of a moveset for her, I like them leaning into the piratey aspect and giving her a gun, a cutlass and stuff.
I saw in chat someone just asked, "Is this already tied with Smash for Links now?" Well, the original Hyrule Warriors was already tied for that too, so that's why it's like, you know what, this is fine. We're not like setting a new precedent here. We're good. But unfortunately, I did decide to cut one of my favorite characters from the original Hyrule Warriors, the King of Red Lions, King Daphnis. As much as I love that moveset, I kind of feel like if this was like, you know, a story coming back to all this, I just don't feel like he would come back again. I almost feel like it'd be more interesting if it represented the end of Wind Waker in terms of the characters they picked.
Yeah.
And I kind of chose to represent that in reworking this next character of Medley. But it's not just Medley, it's Medley and Makar together. Both sages, like post-game of Wind Waker, working together for a moveset. Because I think Medley's moveset is a little bit lacking in the original game. I feel like they didn't quite give her enough of a variety of things to do. A lot of her moves feel very similar. So if you combine her with Makar, maybe Makar's like riding on her head the whole time. The two of them together with their different abilities, I think could do a lot more.
Yeah,
and we don't.
I think that's probably the best way to get Makar into the game as well, because I can't picture Makar on his own.
Yeah.
Fight loads of enemies.
Yeah, Makar on his own would be a little bit tough when he's not like the size of Hestu.
Yeah.
But I think combining them together also really represents the role they played in Wind Waker pretty well. And having, you know, Toon Link, Tetra, Medley, and Makar all together instead of King of Red Lions there as well, I think helps better represent that future they wanted to work towards in the end of Wind Waker. Which is why I did cut one of the most fun movesets in my opinion. But next, I replaced our notable Spirit Tracks representative. Instead of Toon Zelda, I brought in Burn. Bernie? I don't know exactly. I think it's Burn.
It's Staven for anyone in PAL regions.
Yeah, Staven, right?
Staven, yeah, there you go. There you go. Another villain character. I think we needed more of them in the original Hyrule Warriors to balance out a little bit and have the fun spread of characters. But his whole fighting style is actually really cool. He's got that like giant gauntlet. I think there's a lot of really cool things they could do with a moveset for him. And while yes, it's not the same as representing Spirit Track Zelda in the Phantom, I think for a sequel to this, you would want to bring in more villains. And while I didn't want to do multiple Spirit Tracks representatives, I think he, just like Spirit Zelda, best encapsulates like a major part of the game. Because he is a recurring villain throughout the entire game. So
yeah, I straight up forgot about Staven when I was coming up with like there's a different Toon character I was thinking of for a newcomer. But Staven makes a ton more sense for that, because I think I really wanted him on the for the original Hyrule Warriors as well.
No, that's exactly it.
When they were doing Toons and then it didn't happen.
That's exactly it. When the original Hyrule Warrior Legends DLC was happening, and we knew one of them was going to be based on Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, everyone was like, "Oh my God, give us Lineback, give us Burn," and we got the Sand Rod for Toon Link and then Toon Zelda, and everyone's like, "I mean, all right, like they're good, but we wanted these." So that's why I figured, you know what? Let's add Burn. I did think about adding Lineback, but thinking on it further, Lineback would be the perfect, gets roped into all this, and then becomes like the main shopkeeper on the adventure kind of character. He's there. He's not getting on that battlefield. You could not make him. But next, kind of sticking to the 3DS era we've now entered, the DS era, I've got Ravio back once again. Speaking of shopkeepers, I guess. Definitely a fun moveset that kind of does what I mentioned for Toon Link of incorporating a bunch of different items. I really liked how his different moves incorporated a bunch of different items he can rent out to you. And I think they could push that even a little bit further. So I imagine he would have his whole arsenal once again. And paired with him, once again, Yuga. I mean, yeah, another villain, and I really would have loved to see how they would work Yuga into the story of Hyrule Warriors. I imagine he'd be at odds with Ganondorf, aiming to betray Ganondorf and probably like making a separate faction of villains for a while, working against Ganondorf. Ultimately, not as powerful and loses to Ganondorf, but probably a good like antagonist to Ganondorf specifically in a Ganondorf arc.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of fun to see Yuga versus Ganondorf, especially given like Yuga's whole thing in the original game is to like fuse with Ganon to become stronger. Exactly.
So, I think you could do something really cool with that, like if you incorporated that here into Hyrule Warriors. But they're not alone, because while I did replace Toon Zelda, I guess I technically didn't stop another Zelda clone from showing up, and that's Hilda. Because I really do think Hilda has a lot of potential as a character. Like, we don't see her do a lot in Olympic Tree Worlds, but I think just everything from that game, there's a lot of things they could incorporate into her character that could make her really interesting in something like this. I almost feel like a lot of her abilities would be reminiscent of Puppet Zelda in terms of things that she could do. But, like, that makes her feel kind of scary, but not necessarily a villain. I mean, even though technically she's a villain, the way the game ends, she isn't. But it's I think there's a lot of cool things they could do with her staff and her abilities the few abilities of hers that we see throughout. Because we know she has the potential to be as powerful as Zelda, but she's a very different person from Zelda.
Yeah, she has very different types of attacks. It's still magic, but the way that they're at least portrayed in A Link Between Worlds, like she's got a lot more vines and stuff like that. It's a bit more Maleficent-like. In fact. So yeah, you could definitely have her own moveset for sure.
And I mean, it'd be kind of cool to have the basically the Triforce trio of Low Rule here all together. But next is when we get into some interesting things that weren't in the original Hyrule Warriors. Because I do take a little bit from Age of Calamity now, because I've got some of the champions here. So we've got Mipha first. I imagine if they did a sequel to the original Hyrule Warriors, they would now start to pull from Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Age of Calamity, things like that. I already mentioned some movesets before that are Age of Calamity inspired, but I think the champions really would make their way into here. So if we want to reveal all of them at once, I mean, Mipha, Daruk, Rivali, or Bosa, I don't think they would pick and choose them. If they were DLC for the original game, I think they specifically would have picked Rivali and Urbosa to not conflict with Rudo and Darunia. But I think in a setting like this, you would pick all 4 champions together, have some sort of like story arc of all of them, and especially with the movesets they had in Age of Calamity, like they had some really good movesets. So I think if they were to kind of adapt that, there's a lot that they could do here with them.
Why not Sidon, since we already got Ruto, someone asks.
I was thinking about doing like half and half of half old champions and half like the new champions or like the sages. But I think you can have a really interesting story dynamic of the 4 champions together thrown into a new Hyrule, a different Hyrule, and how they handle that specifically, because we know how these 4 characters as a unit work and how well they work together. I think it'd be really interesting to see them thrown in a different version of Hyrule and how they still work together in that case.
Okay.
So the idea basically was, because the 4 of them sticking together, we know already creates an interesting dynamic. I want to see that dynamic in a different game, is basically it. But because this era of Zelda was so big, there's more from this era here. Because I have Master Koga next. Because more villains. Let's be real. If this guy was thrown into a Hyrule where Ganondorf is there, he'd be like servant number 1. Like he'd be the right hand man.
Servant number 1 until Ganondorf tries to kill him.
Basically. Which again could make for a really interesting bit of story here. If you have Master Koga as someone who's kind of like competing with like Zant and Girahim and even the Twin Rova for like Ganondorf's attention, basically. You have like a funny dynamic of the villains there, but also like someone who is not quite as evil as all the rest of them and is much more comically evil. He's the real Tingle.
I need one goof on the roster. Goofy.
No, exactly.
Set.
Exactly. And his moveset in Age of Calamity was so fun, but I do think he could bring some really fun things to a new Hyrule Warriors of being essentially the villain to these champions, but also working together with all the other villains. The kind of things he could do should be fun. But he's not the last one from here, because I do also have Cass. Because I'm so upset Cass was not in Age of Calamity. And the original Hyrule Warriors has a lot of musical weapons. Like, I want to say, like, almost a third of the weapons in the roster are music-based. So, if you have Cass with this accordion, like, there's so much fun that you could do there. I imagine he probably wouldn't be worked into the story. like, because not every character in the original Hyrule Warriors was really worked into the story. He probably wouldn't be. But I think this would be, like, his time, finally. I don't understand why he wasn't in Age of Calamity. And I think paired with the other ones from here, I mean, even if it was, like, he was someone, like, traveling with the party and he's, like, writing songs about the adventure, that'd be cool. But you could have tons of references to the different songs from throughout the Zelda series. Maybe, like, he has, like, a little quest of, like, learning them all. So, all of his moves reference different songs from different Zelda games.
Oh.
Okay.
That would be really fun.
Yeah, chat brings it up. It's so bizarre that he's not in Tears of the Kingdom, like, way more so than Age of Calamity.
Like, the only character missing.
What happened?
Like, someone in Nintendo was like, no, he's too popular.
Too popular.
We can't have that out anymore of him. We got to get out of it.
The fact that his whole family's there and they still talk about him, but he's just gone. And the fact that the Masterworks for Tears of the Kingdom doesn't explain it either. It's like they actually just forgot him and didn't try to fix that, which feels really strange to me. Like, there's no way that's what happened.
No,
but I guess it's a story we'll never get.
Cass returned to his home planet.
But that brings us to 36 now, I believe, which means the rest of my choices here are DLC.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got them paired. I've got them in pairs based on kind of different sets.
I think there's one more character.
No, there should be 6 DLC. So because of the order they're on, it'll be like
no. We do have them in pairs. You were correct.
Okay. So the first set I've got here is a game I wish was represented in the original Hyrule Warriors, and first of these is Vati. I mean, specifically like Minish Cap Vati. Like Minish Cap's fantastic game. Really weird that it wasn't represented in Legends in particular, with the focus on handhelds it had there. And Vati was definitely like up there with Gruz as like the most requested character for the original Hyrule Warriors. So get him in this time. Give us the Minish Cap representation. Let him transform into the weird eye demon in his moveset.
Yeah,
I don't know if he would work for Ganon or not, but like he would definitely be really strong.
Oh no, he doesn't work for anyone.
Yeah,
exactly.
If his DLC can be the star of his own DLC story.
That's true.
They don't tend to have stories, so for like the DLC, you can just do whatever. Age of Calamity gave DLC characters story, but Hyrule Warriors and Legends didn't, so...
Yeah, but Age of Calamity's DLC as a whole was also kind of disappointing comparatively. I gotta be so honest.
Yeah, this is very true.
Paired with Vati, we got Eslo.
Oh boy.
Not specifically as the hat, but as the actual like as the Minish. I mean, maybe like the King of Red Lions, he would transform into the hat during some moves, just for like the fun reference. But I imagine like having like a Minish character to oppose Vati, whether there was a story behind it or if it was just straight gameplay, I think could be a lot of fun. Actually getting more of these characters. I did consider, instead of Eslo, having the mole mitts, or the digging mitts for Toon Link specifically. I thought that would have been kind of funny, but I felt going with a character, like a specific character pick, would have been more fun in terms of representation.
Could have had Toon Link, but like with Eslo as the hat, and Eslo does all the attacks, is just dragging Toon Link along with it.
Oh, that would have been hilarious. That would have been hilarious. But I wanted to see, like, I wanted them to be able to explore, like, what is Eslo's, like, powers? Like what is his abilities as this kind of more wizard that he is? Not when cursed as a hat. Like, what kind of things can he do? 'Cause it seems like quite a lot, actually. So, not that we ever really see it. But the next pair are actually new weapons for existing characters. And the first is Link with the Strange Flute. Specifically, the Strange Flute from the Oracle games. So these would be the animal companions as weapons, basically. So Link would summon the 3 different animal companions from the Oracle games for his moves. And so you'd fly around on Moosh, or punch things as Ricky, or ride around on the Dongo, whose name currently escapes, Dimitri.
Yeah.
And I think while yes, you could absolutely pick like, oh, just add like Din or Nehru, or like Ralph or Onyx or Varen. I think the animal companions are actually such a big part of the Oracle games that making it a DLC weapon for Link actually just feels more like a fun thing that the Hyrule Warriors games in specific would do.
Yeah, if I had more space on my roster, I would have added Ricky onto mine. I don't have Ricky on mine.
Yo, just Ricky?
Just Ricky.
Kangaroo jumping around, punching things.
This is great. Just Ricky's all you need.
That's actually quite funny. No. I felt representing all 3 animal companions would be the best way to go about it, but the other weapon for existing character here I've got is Zelda with the Tri-Rod. The new, like, weapon that she used, the new item she uses in Echoes of Wisdom. It makes so much sense to represent the face of Zelda's new dedicated standalone game in a new Hyrule Warriors game.
Yeah, it really does.
But it does feel like something that would be saved as a DLC weapon, or like, you know, find it in a side mode kind of weapon. Not something that she would have like from the start of the story.
Hey, I would just like everyone to know that our friend of the channel, Huff, who made a lot of stuff for this stream, sent this to me at the speed of light.
Get him in. There we go.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, that brings me down to my final two, which are also built from the same game together. So it's back to two characters, not two weapons. And the first is Purah from Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay.
And she would absolutely use the Sheikah Slate, Purah Pad. Actually, those would probably just be upgrades of each other. It'd probably be Sheikah Slate first, Purah Pad second, and then some like crazy third.
One.
Yeah, some crazy original one for the third one.
And so would it be like a kind of spin on what Zelda does for her base moveset in Age of Calamity?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Some sort of spin on that, maybe pulling a little bit from her and Robbie's moveset from the DLC weapon. Maybe like one or two things from there incorporated, but largely, yeah, the idea of what the Sheikah Slate can do in Zelda's base moveset. Because that is actually a pretty fun moveset and pretty strong too. But I imagine if they set it specifically to Purah, and especially after everything that's happened in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, there's probably even more that she could do with it.
I can't believe Robbie's getting the snuff this time.
Unfortunately, Purah's popularity is like really uncontested.
It was back then as well.
yeah. Like especially since she's like a major character in Tears of the Kingdom again, practically filling the role of Impa in most other games. It would be weird not to have her. And finally, also from Tears of the Kingdom, I've got Rauru. And I mean, the fact that he was able to seal Ganondorf for all that time, he is clearly powerful. And while I fully expect somewhere down the line we're going to get an Age of Calamity 2 that has him as one of the main characters, I do think here in Hyrule Warriors 2, he would be one of the main picks to represent Tears of the Kingdom. That's why I think they would do mainly the original champions for Breath of the Wild, and then for Tears of the Kingdom, they would pick like Rauru and like maybe one other character as like sages in terms of that. Like I think he's such a defining character of the game, even though he's only really seen in flashbacks and at the very start for Link. The entire game basically revolves around his powers and what he brought, and it gives us a Zonai representative on this roster as well.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's my full 40.
Nice. You've got a lot less weapons on yours.
Yeah.
I actually think I do.
So. Yeah. My thought process was to represent more characters than more weapons, because if we want some of these weapons, they could go to some of these characters as well. They don't all have to be Link and Zelda. But right. I still made sure Link and Zelda still together have the most, because they're still the main two.
Yeah, no,
yep.
That's, of course.
I will fix the order later.
Alright, so we're going to mine now.
Yeah.
Alright.
Opening it up. It is reading the Photoshop format. Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Ooh.
Yeah, I gave mine a background.
Nice.
Alright, I'm just going to set it so that people know it's Nanten. 2 of 3. Nice.
Alright.
So, I'm going to start off with a big shocker on mine.
Oh,
wow. Be ready for it.
Whoa.
Yep. It's him. It's Link.
No way.
You got him.
No way. You mean we're not starting with Zelda in a Zelda game? What is this?
I know. I thought I'd change up the formula a little bit. Yeah, I mean, there's not really anything to say here. It's the same moveset for as he had in Hyrule Warriors. I'll actually say that for a lot of the returning characters on this, I kind of just considered their movesets would play pretty much as they would from the first Hyrule Warriors. Like, there might be some tweaks here and there, some refinements made to them, but I don't think they would be massively different. And the base of the weapon would still be the same.
Yeah,
So I'll say that now, so I don't have to say that for every character who's returning. So up next on Link's second weapon, I gave him the magic wand. I was really debating between the magic wand and the gauntlets. Like I kept flip-flopping between the two because I've only got one of them back. and I ended up settling on the magic wand, because of a kind of theme that I've got overall with this my roster pick, which I can explain way further down because it'll explain one of my picks later on. I think that's a better place to explain that theme. So I got I got two themes that I had considered while making this roster, and going for the magic wand over the gauntlets falls into one of those themes. But now we'll go to the next one, which is a new weapon for Link. It's durable weapons.
Oh no!
So I really wanted to come up with an idea that was like a new weapon for Link, and I was looking towards like Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom for it, but I didn't want to have like anything that had kind of already been done in Age of Calamity already. And I was trying to, and that the issue is Age of Calamity has basically all the weapons that Link would have. Like its DLC weapon was an entirely new weapon that made up for the series. So I was really like, right, what should I do? What would be fun? What's iconic as a weapon in those games? And then I thought, would it be funny if Link like had a bag on his back and he was just pulling out basically any weapon from Breath of the Wild, getting some hits in, and then it smashes and he just grabs another weapon out.
Oh, I love the idea of it specifically breaks at the end of whatever combo he's doing or something like that. So that's great, actually.
Every time you start a combo, it begins with Link pulling out some weapon from his backpack and just going with that, and when it breaks, he just grabs another one.
That's really fun, actually, because that's like silly joke weapon kind of thing, but also like I could see that being like really fun to actually play too.
Yeah, and sometimes you can pull out a grid weapon, sometimes you can pull out a stick.
Yeah.
Like I really thought, like, because initially when I was looking through, I was like, would it be really funny if I gave Link like a broom or something from Breath of the Wild?
Man.
And then I came up with this idea, so I was like, yes, we're doing it.
No, that's actually pretty great. I would love to see that.
And then the next one, another weapon for Link, I brought the Great Fairy. Because,
that makes sense.
I debated not having the Great Fairy or having the Great Fairy be DLC, but then I sort of figured, well, the Great Fairy is gonna be in the game anyway in some form.
Right.
Like, so they'll already have the model there, they'll already do this. They clearly like having the Great Fairy as playable characters because they were playable in both Age of Calamity and the original Hyrule Warriors.
They're really fun in Age of Calamity too.
Yeah. So I just thought, you know what, they clearly like the Great Fairy. I'll keep her in. I'll put her in here.
Nice.
But that does it for all of Link's weapons in the base game, at least.
Okay.
I do have one more weapon for him later on in DLC.
Oh.
For now, we can move on to the next character on here. Yeah, it's Zelda.
That's
Big
a
shocker.
fuck.
Big surprise.
What is wrong with you?
I know. I'm daring. So I needed Triss to go first, have the regular roster, so that I could come in with the sucker punch choices all the time. And in a similar fashion to Link, the next weapon is a returning one. I decided to go with the Wind Waker as opposed to the Dominion Rod, because I don't have any of the Toon characters on mine. I decided to go for a consistent style again, and so I cut all the Toon related characters. And so I still wanted something Wind Waker related. So I kept the Wind Waker moveset in and got rid of the Dominion Rod.
I think that's fair. Honestly. Like, especially when they didn't have the Toon characters, like Zelda having the Wind Waker, it still felt weird, but like, who else would you give it to? I mean, I guess you could give it to Link, but do we really want Link to have another weapon?
Yeah, exactly. So it works quite nicely for Zelda, and yeah, I mean, it gave me an excuse to trim a bunch of the roster.
Right.
So I was like really
fair.
struggling. I was like, how do I justify some of these cuts? But similar to Link again, the next one is a new weapon for Zelda. And I also did the Tri-Rod.
Hey, nice.
So, see, my justification for doing the Tri-Rod as a base roster pick is that I would imagine a Hyrule Warriors 2 would come out later, after Echoes of Wisdom has been a thing for a bit. And so I don't think the Tri-Rod would be necessarily have to be DLC for it. And I think the idea of the Tri-Rod is too good of an idea to not have it on here. Like, just the ability to summon enemies. Like you just summon the enemy mobs and other random items and use them.
See, I actually think that justifies being DLC even more because someone's gonna look at that and go, "Oh, now I gotta buy that."
It is really fair if you think about it from that smart business idea. Then keep holding it back for DLC. Good job. But the Tri-Rod was one of the first ideas I came up with for this roster. Like immediately, I was like, okay, well, Zelda's gonna have the Tri-Rod.
Yeah, same for me too. I just decided to push it down to DLC because it's kind of like you can't not look at Zelda getting her own standalone game in a few days and not think, let me pull some representation from that. Maybe the main thing she can do in the game.
Yeah. Just a comment on Squid Sushi, who arrived late. The styles, the weapons, they are considered their own roster slots in this.
Yeah, it's just so people know that, oh, they have this and this, because if you just put the character on there and you just go, oh yeah, we have Link, we have Zelda, people are just be like, what do they do?
Yeah.
Which, do they come with all their weapons back? Is it just the defaults? Like, so we needed to make it clear that they come with their weapons. That's what.
And they definitely consider like whole new weapon play styles, new characters in these kinds of games. Like it's why in all the DLCs for the original Hyrule Warriors, it was new character and new weapon for this character paired together because that is basically a new character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Although this next character is a character and not a weapon, but is still related to Zelda. I have Sheik.
Okay.
And Sheik was actually one of the last characters I added to this. I really wasn't going to have them back. But I have a handful of characters who I've decided to have here that are just like popular fan favorites.
Right.
So a lot of the characters I picked are sort of based around the story in my mind that this game would have.
Yeah, that's fair.
But a handful of characters who I just couldn't fit into that, but are popular anyway. I was like, yeah, we'll have them. We'll have Sheik. Sheik will be back. Gives a fast ninja character, which is one of the reasons I didn't go for Impa's Age of Calamity thing, because I was like, we got a fast ninja type character. It's not the same moveset, obviously.
Right.
It kind of fits the same mold, and so let's keep Sheik here.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Yeah. As for the next one, this is another is a returning character, another Sheikah. It's Impa.
Hurrah!
This is the only one for Impa. I didn't give her a second weapon this time.
Okay.
I am unsure though now which one. Originally, so when I made this, I was like, oh, giant sword because it's the default. Knowing that but I prefer the Naginata weapon.
Yeah.
And now knowing that the Naginata might have been sort of like the default, I would kind of prefer the Naginata weapon.
Yeah,
it's the reason why Impa is like the only other character aside from Link and Zelda that has like multiple weapons, and Lana. But
yeah. So I mean, for personal bias, we're gonna say this is Naginata Impa, and
we'll replace Slot later with Naginata
I
Impa.
use the other art instead. But the next one is a new character, and they're here in this specific slot for a reason. If you want to go for it, I also have.
What's up?
My Groose is an OC Groose.
Oh,
the original version of Groose.
Oh,
I thought the idea would be quite funny to have Groose be like another knight, kind of like how Link starts off as a knight in the beginning of Hyrule Warriors, who is like mad jealous of the position Link has found himself in, and so like sees himself as Link's rival and like runs out into the battlefield like early on to like try and make a name for himself, and usually gets into trouble and has to be rescued by the player. Until he eventually becomes playable.
Can we in real time just add the text above Groose, say OC Groose?
OC Groose. He's like, making him an OC also means I can kind of do what I want for him moveset wise. Right. So like, I kind of envisioned him having like an axe or something. Like I was trying to decide between whether he should have a sword and shield, a spear like most of the regular Hyrule soldiers have, or like have something different. I thought given his big bulk and a way to make him stand out, he could have like a big axe that he uses in his moveset. And then you can kind of bring back the axe bits from the axe idea that was used in Age of Calamity for Link's moveset with his
Yeah.
actions.
I
You
did
can
it.
bring that back with Groose. Nice.
Dang.
So his default outfit would be like the knight's outfit instead, but he'd obviously have the Skyward Sword one as a costume to put on.
I do think that's a really cool idea, though. Like bringing essentially like the idea of Grooze into an OC that fills the same slot, and is Grooze just Grooze the recurring character in the timeline, just like Tingle.
Yeah, exactly. So Groose can be here, and you can have a similar character arc then, because you can also have him throughout the whole game. Then you can have a similar character arc to Skyward Sword, where he's this bumbling guy at the start,
Yeah.
and then becomes like a proper part of the army and makes a name for himself by the end of the plot.
That'd be
It has a
great.
pivotal role, yeah. So on the topic of OCs, next up, we have the popular OC. We have Linkle.
Yep.
Yep, just like before, like so many people wanted her in. They wanted the concept in, so they added her as DLC. I don't think there's any way they're going to cut her. And now that she can be here from the start, I think you can actually do something interesting with her, because she'll know Link and Zelda now.
Right.
Mhm.
So,
Ideally.
ideally, yes, ideally.
She does at least meet Zelda.
Yeah. So you could have her early on with the crossbow, and then if you want to go to the next one as well, I kept Linkle's alternate weapon of the Pegasus boots in.
Oh.
Those are my preferred playstyle for Linkle, and I figured the OCs tend to get like love with alternate move sets and all that, so
Yeah.
letting Linkle keep both. So yep, and the OC train continues. We're gonna have Lana back as
Of
well.
course.
All right, here's a fact from me. I haven't played Legends because I played way too much of Hyrule Warriors on the Wii U for me to justify
Mm-hmm.
playing Legends. So I actually haven't played the epilogue, so I didn't realize Sia was back at all. I thought Sia was just gone from the canon.
It's a little weird, to be honest. The way it plays out is like part of her survived, and Lana's like trying to find it. It's like Sia's good now; the evil's gone from her, but like it's like Phantom Ganon's like tormenting her, or something like that.
Right.
I think it's like the power of Phantom Ganon forced Sia to open the portals to Wind Waker, or something along those lines. I forget the exact thing, but it ends with Lana and Sia like together again, not physically like the same person again, but together the two of them, the Guardians.
Yeah, so I don't know how this would change stuff now in my plot, because I have not included Sia at all. I have just not acknowledged her existence. But so instead, Lana is here to fill the same role she's kind of had before, and have the justification for why we can enter different worlds again.
Right.
And she also comes with a second weapon. I decided to keep the glitchier of the two, if you want to click on it. The Gate of Time. I like this weapon. I think this is one you could refine and make less all over the place. But I kept this one and got rid of the Deku Stick for a reason that will become apparent quite shortly. So you can actually reveal the next two straight up, because we've already talked about both of them. Darunia and Ruto are both back.
Yep.
So this is an obvious one. You got to have a Goro and a Goron and a Zora on the roster. Everyone likes Darunia and Ruto. They're returning characters. I don't envision them acting or playing any different from how they did in the first Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, my thought process for like if any characters that like I couldn't figure out like how they would change, it would mostly be like, oh, maybe gameplay wise this game builds a little bit off of like Age of Calamity in terms of like new mechanics they added in. Like maybe it's like they add in a few other moves to account for some of these other things mechanically.
Personally, I would have it so that the characters that have shields can still shield bash, and then maybe Flurry Rush is good too.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But these two aren't the only Ocarina of Time sages I've brought along.
Ooh.
So if you want to go to the next one,
Ah,
Saria with me.
so you're giving Saria Lana's Deku Stick set?
Yes. So the main idea I had for Saria is that she uses all of the Deku fairy related stuff. So she has the Deku stick, Deku nuts, but she has the fairy slingshots as well.
Oh,
Okay.
Lana did too.
Oh, okay. Then yes, basically
She
I've
had the
taken
slingshot.
that-
She had the shield.
I've basically taken that moveset then and given it to Sari. It wouldn't play exactly as that moveset did.
Yeah.
She'd primarily use the slingshot.
I don't imagine
obviously
she would
have
be
the fair-
dancing.
No, she wouldn't be dancing. No. I like to think of like the way I've liked to always imagine it is sort of weird, like almost covert, like with like a Deku leaf kind of scarf or cloak over the top of her outfit, and then like hiding and sniping from a distance with the fairy slingshot, and then using the Deku stick for close quarters, Deku nut to stun people to run away with, and then the fairy ocarina with fairies themselves can be used for specials and stuff like that. Because I feel like she has to have the fairy ocarina. And play her song.
No, I love this actually. I had Saria on my list for the longest time, and then when I decided actually I kind of want to lean into villains a bit more, that's when I swapped her out for Twinrova.
Mhm.
But I did have Saria on my list for quite a while, so I'm happy you included her.
Yeah, Saria was one of the first ones I also just really I wanted to have her. I like the idea of her using all the Deku related weapons and the young Link fairy related weapons, and I was like, yeah, cool, we'll get her on here. And so next up, I'm not a coward, so I've kept Tingle.
Yo, hi Tingle.
How could you remove this lovely man?
It was easy.
Yeah, I thought Tingle was popular. Tingle was fun, and I wanted something that was like within the Ocarina of Time. Technically Majora's Mask. To stick around, which is also why the next character you can also select.
Yo.
Is Skull Kid is also back. So I'm sort of treating Skull Kid as the Ocarina villain, even though he technically isn't from Ocarina. But you know, he is technically in Ocarina, just without the mask. So I have justified that these 5 are like that era of when they go to the Ocarina of Time verse. And Kokiri Forest would be a new, and the Lost Woods would be a new stage.
Ooh, I like that.
This would take place in. So we're jumping to the next one. To another.
What?
Yep.
What?
Him.
Jump scare.
The Yuga jump scare. From one villain to another. We're jumping from Ocarina of Time to
Link Between Worlds.
Which obviously didn't really get much because of its really late DLC position in the original game. So I wanted to give it some story relevance and have a Link Between Worlds be one of the areas that they visit and give it like actual map and stuff like that. And so of course, I'm going to go Link Between Worlds with Yuga. I've also got to have the obvious other character in this. Yes.
What?
Nabbit,
Wait.
no.
What? Ooh.
Yes, I brought Ravia back as well. Like, give them both a time to shine. They also both fit into one of my themes that I've got going for this roster. And I can explain one of those themes actually with the next character, if you want to open it up. I have Osfala as a pick on mine.
Oh, do they use Toon Link Sandrod?
They do use the Sandrod. They obviously don't have the train.
Yeah, the train.
That wouldn't work. But they do use the the Sandrod. And one of I did consider having Hilda. She unfortunately didn't make the cut, but was very close. But one of the ideas for the story I had for this game is that it would involve the heroes having to go and try and recruit the 7 sages. And recruiting them from across different games. So I ended up prioritizing characters and games that have the sages as like a story element, and A Link Between Worlds is one of them. So that you get the Sage of Fire, the Sage of Water, and the Sage of Forest from Ocarina, and Osfala fits the Sage of Earth character, I guess.
I really like that idea of like bringing in the sages because they are like considered pretty powerful, and even though majority of the time the sages or sage-like characters end up being, you know, the chosen character picks, actually making that work into the plot is actually like a really good idea.
Yeah, and like Osfala, of all the sages that are in A Link Between Worlds, Osfala is the one who already has an established weapon.
Yeah.
And could defend himself. I did consider cutting Ruto and adding in the Zora Queen, whatever her name is, from A Link Between Worlds as the water one. And I also considered adding Irene in as like the Sage of Wind or
Oh, that'd be fun.
whatever, I can't remember. But ended up not going for either of them because my Sage of Wind candidate is the next character. And I went with Tulin.
Yeah, let's go.
Tulin. Tulin. So I didn't want to do anything from Age of Calamity at all. So I didn't bring back a single character that showed up in Age of Calamity.
Okay.
But that meant obviously with the sages, a lot of them are in Age of Calamity because they return.
Yeah.
Tulin is the only one, and being that Tulin, and I guess actually the next one may as well open her up.
Oh,
Mineru are the only two sort of sage characters who weren't in Age of Calamity, and also Mineru has the spirit sage spirit. I can't talk. Which isn't one of the sages on the roster yet. So now we have wind, spirit, earth, fire, water, and forest on here. And I thought, I thought having these two as the two characters from Tears of the Kingdom, they're characters not in Age of Calamity, so they're completely brand new, but I could still get some stuff from that era of Zelda into this game.
Actually, Tulin is in Age of Calamity in a really bad DLC story. No, there's, in retrospect, it's actually really funny. There's one of the DLC levels is Rivali and Teba hear a Rito child is lost in the Lost Woods, so they work together to go rescue it. And for some reason, it's Tulin, who also came back from the future. It was just sent back to the past. No explanation given whatsoever, and it's one of those, in retrospect, you realize, oh, this was them teasing that he's going to be a sage and a major character in Tears of the Kingdom. I never picked up on that. It just felt out of place and really weird and awkward, but...
Yeah, I didn't really think anything of it at the time, because I was just like, oh yeah, they just needed one of Teba's kids to come back. And they just picked Tulin at random, but it does make a lot more sense now when you think about what Tulin's role ended up becoming.
Right. I love that you picked Tulin, though. Like, I was really thinking about doing Tulin instead of Rivali if I did, like, the mix of, like, some from both. But I felt, in my case, I felt keeping the champions together was more important. And I didn't then want to have what could be taken as almost a clone character. Of another Rito with a bow that actually uses the same weapon. Now that I think about it,
yeah.
So I was like, okay, I didn't want to do that. So my boy Tulin was not in my roster. So I'm happy you have him here.
Tulin lets me also have a Rito character because I cut the Toon characters, so I cut Medley.
True.
But then I had to think of another sage who would replace Medley.
and still wind focused. So
yeah, and still wind focused. So that and Mineru, I could start having a giant robot.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you gotta do it.
I mean, Mineru basically fills the void of Toon Zelda as well with the Phantom at that point.
Yeah. So Tulin and Mineru got added. No villains though from Age of Calamity. I did consider bringing Koga along for the ride, but then I decided. No, I don't want to have anything that's already done, and I couldn't think of another villain.
You mean you didn't do what Age of Calamity failed to do and give us playable Aster?
True. True, actually. This is just a weird way of explaining. Oh yeah, Aster, he's in Tears of the Kingdom. Actually, you just don't know. We'll finish his story here.
Oh God.
All right. So next up, and actually, like, you don't have to reveal them all at the same time, but these next 4 characters are all fan favorites that I brought back that don't really have a story role. I just wanted them here. Like,
yeah, that's fair.
Marin, Midna, and like I don't have to explain her.
Agatha. Oh no!
Deep Agatha. Don't worry, Zach. I got your back.
I have lost the coveted Zach vote.
Yeah, and then Fi is the last one of those 4. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because two of them actually could fill stage roles as well, or at least have the power worth sages. Like Fi being essentially like a companion character to Link of powering up the Master Sword, maybe being a story piece that leads to the Master Sword, and then Midna's basically a sage. She's totally got the powers of one, and you can fill a I don't know, Sage of Shadow or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the big thing with Midna is just sort of I had the same issue of do I have her imp form or a Twilight form? Because logically, story-wise, it should be a Twilight form, but the imp form is Midna. That's the form that everyone looks at and is like, that's Midna. So it'd be really weird to not have it. And I could come up with some random idea, like the villains somehow turn Midna back into an imp to justify having her in. And I just thought, I'm overthinking this. She could just be on the roster, and you can unlock her through the challenge mode or something. The adventure.
Yeah.
So before you start the next one, I need to build up to it a bit because this is going to be a bit of a pick.
Ooh.
So I've with this game, obviously, I need to. Ganondorf's not shown up yet, obviously. I need to think of like a villain. What's the story? What's the conflict going on here? Right. And in the original game, it was this whole story with Sia, and she invades, and all this with Volga and Withrow. And I'm like, they did that connection with Lana and all that. Yeah, that's fine, but I don't want to bring Sia back and have her be a villain, or Withrow and Volga for that matter. Like, I need to think of something that'd be interesting. And an idea that I've always found that could be a cool story that the Zelda series has just never done is that, like, in lore, there's meant to be a Gerudo king, like, born every 100 years.
Ooh.
And we have Ganondorf, and then it's just never been touched upon. It's always either a reincarnation of Ganondorf, if they ever decide to revisit that. And that's it. And then, like, Tears of the Kingdom, in theory, realistically, should have some male. I don't know if the fact that Ganondorf is just sealed under isn't technically dead, so one can't be born. Like,
I think that's it. I think that's.
I'm scared.
So, for my next pick, I decided to make my own OC.
Oh.
Go on.
Yeah?
Vrazir, the new king of the Gerudo. Because Ganondorf is dead in this timeline. Like, they revive him and he's dead, so they resurrect him. So I thought, what if the Gerudo invade? Like, that's the theming of this game. It's the Gerudo, the new Gerudo king who invades Hyrule and fights. And I like to imagine that his moveset here, like, so his character personality is that kind of archetype of the guy who's like really strong and really cocky, and like you describe him as being ablaze and like is just looking for fights to get into. So he like runs onto the battlefield and beats Impa and fights Zelda and is like, Hyrule's weak, and then clashes with Link and is like, now here's an actual strong opponent to fight against. And he almost gets built up as like Link's rival over the course of the game. But to show how cocky he is, his moveset is punching. I've borrowed Smash Ganondorf. And his moveset is punching people really, really hard. In fact, actually, I think... Let me double check the name before I say it. So one of these... How did I describe it? I should have had this up before I did this. I said Bombos. So in Link to the Past, you've got these 3 medallions, right? So like so I wanted to pull from that. So you can't see it because of the icon, but in the full image I've drawn, which I'll put on social media. In fact, I could probably...
I'll put it up on screen right now.
Yeah, let me send it to you. In his belt, he's got one of the medallions from A Link to the Past. And so in this default moveset, he, like, punches people and they explode, basically.
Oh my gosh. That's actually really funny.
So he's got like Super Smash Brothers Ganondorf moveset where he runs around, he just fucking punches everything and causes these big explosions. And his outfit is inspired by the male Gerudo outfit from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Oh.
But it's like a bit more regal. It's got the Gerudo symbol on it. And I just think he'd be a very fun original character to go off and just slowly be built up over the game as a rival for Link. Now, obviously, you might see there that he doesn't have the Bombliss medallion on. Keen eyes might see. So if you want to click on the next icon I've got, he has the Ether medallion as his secondary one.
I see.
So the way I see it is like at the start he's like so cocky that he's not even using a weapon on the battlefield. But in his final encounter with Link, when he's like did him as a rival, he'll use like the Gerudo Trident, the one that Ganondorf has, and his type goes from being fire to electric, and he has the Ether medallion.
I did notice this.
Yeah, and so he's going like originally it was going to be Ether. Yeah, it was going to be Ether was his default weapon, and then the Trident was his second weapon, and then I thought, well, actually, Ether. I like the idea of him using his Trident as like electricity rod, and like you can like throw his Trident and then like dash warp basically. Bolt. And that also lets me bring in all the electricity elements that the Gerudo have in
That's true.
Breath of the Wildverse. So like he punches people, they explode for his default, but his like other weapon type is the Trident and is more electric based and is a bit more closer in line with how the Gerudo fight in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
Right.
And I themed it around the medallions. Which I'll explain in a sec as another reason for the medallions. But first, we got one more character to get through. Technically another OC, but I didn't draw this one because I was being lazy. I wanted to give him his own Impa, basically.
Oh, so like a right hand, like another Gerudo. Okay.
Instead of having it be Noboru, like an original version of Noboru instead, but then I decided actually, in this case, because my theme was sages, and I wasn't going to have her or Impa become sages because I wanted all the sages to be from other worlds.
Right.
I decided that actually I'll just make it an original Gerudo, who fights using like the Gerudo long spear that you see in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, this was unexpected. I am enjoying this.
Yeah. No, this is actually like really cool because it's like this is like if the Koei Tecmo, the Hyrule Warriors team, like, okay, pitching to the Aonuma, like, okay, don't freak out. We want more Gerudo.
Yes.
Man, and he's like, what?
So, yeah, he's got his own right hand, stern, loyal, fights with the Gerudo. I can't remember the exact name of the weapon, but the long spear that the guards use. And, yeah. So it's an original, it'll be another original character. And before we get to his other side, like his other loyal allies, loyal quote unquote, I'm going to explain what my other theme was, because I think so. A big thing I've had with the original Hyrule Warriors is that I think it's very heavily inspired the original content by the first two Zelda games, NES and Zelda 1 and Zelda 2.
Right.
Because like you look at the characters in it, like obviously you've got the adventure map that is the Zelda 1 map, and then you've got the bosses, and it's like Dodongo and the plant one and Gomo, who are all bosses from the original Zelda.
I can't believe you forgot Manhandler's name.
Manhandler. Yeah, that's it, Manhandler. And then you've also got like for Wizro and Volga. Obviously Volga's inspired by Volvagia. In terms of like the outfit, and I'm pretty sure he transforms into a dragon.
He transforms into Volvagia, yeah.
Exactly, and Volvagia's technically first appearance was Zelda 2, where it got a different name in the West, but it's in Japan it's the same name.
Okay.
So, and then Wizro, like Zelda 2 also has a boss that is just a stronger Wizrobe.
Yeah, it's Karak. I had to make an OC version of Karak very recently.
So like in my mind I've always seen, okay, so the bosses are from Zelda 1, and then Wizro and Volga are both specific like Zelda 2 bosses, and like the original Hyrule Warriors is paying homage to the first two Zelda games through that.
I see.
So following this logic, I thought, well, if they did another one then would it be a Link to the Past focused?
Oh.
And like the adventure map is the map from A Link to the Past. And so I started thinking of a lot of A Link to the Past related stuff I could have here. So the reason Razir has the medallions is because they're from A Link to the Past. The reason A Link Between Worlds is such a big focus is that connection to A Link to the Past. And the reason I went with this character as the next one is also because I wanted a boss character from A Link to the Past.
Oh.
So I've got
Blind the Thief.
The
Ooh.
In the
All right, that's cool.
Pre-Gerudo being established, Blind is in the past meant to be a thief. I don't know if he's meant to specifically be from Ganon's band of thieves who all got trapped in the whatever, it's the Dark World.
The Dark World.
But I figured, hell, why not? In this one, we can have. So I didn't draw it, so it would be a Gerudo version of Blind, basically, because it needs to fit in with Razir's army and theming. It would be this like small Gerudo woman with like blindfolds on who fights with the two swords, the typical Gerudo scimitar fighting style you see from Ocarina. But with a bit of magic, so you could get the floating head things in and get the laser eyes and stuff like that. And she would also be another enemy soldier and one that eventually betrays Razir towards the end of the game, because I envision like towards the halfway point Razir being betrayed and joining the good guys side as they resurrect Ganondorf and have Ganondorf as the main villain role again.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
And while Valera would stick with Razir because she's loyal, Blind would go with Ganondorf. And continue to be an enemy soldier until their eventual defeat.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I did look at Starblind and what Starblind could do, but Starblind has a sword and shield, which is a bit boring for a moveset. And I just thought I want to go for the original Link to the Past one. Like you could imagine that their Gerudo design is somewhere between this and that human design they have in the game when they're pretending to be one of the Seven Maidens to trick Link. So you could pull from all of that to have Blind the Thief show up here as one. I did consider other A Link to the Past bosses. I was considering having Mothula or be a character before I decided to have Valera, like another enemy one that flies around. I also originally was going to have like a character called the Helmasaur Queen, based on the Helmasaur King, like Helmasaur Rock, whatever the fuck it's called, that dinosaur.
Yeah.
Funny story. I was thinking of an idea for it, and I was like, okay, so Blind is a little small gremlin type character. We'll have the Helmasaur one will be like hot, sexy OC, because you always got to have one of them. And like the Helmasaur's main weapon is its tail, which is like a mace. So I'll give her like a mace, and then like obviously she's got to have the helmet, right? So I'm gonna have this hot character with a mask on, with a mace weapon. Oh shit! I've reinvented Sia.
You did basically just reinvent Sia with that. Yeah, I see.
Like, right, I can't do that then. Oh, whoops. So I decided not to go with that idea in the end. But there is one more person on Razir's side, the one who instigates his betrayal after he sort of softens up to Link, because they really want Ganondorf to come back. You can click on it now, Slink. It's Twin Rover.
Yeah.
We got two Twin Rovers today.
Yeah. I imagine it is Twin Rover is like his advisor, and then when Razir eventually buddies up to Link, because of course they will do after fighting so many times. The enemies to lovers trope is strong in fiction. We have Twin Rover will be like, nah, this was all just an excuse to revive our true king and then bring Ganondorf back, who you can reveal as the final slot on my base roster here. And then Ganondorf comes back, and we have this big team up with the new King of Gerudos against the old King of Gerudos with Link as well. The Seven Sages with Zelda leading them. All good stuff.
Nice.
All right.
Yeah. So
oh my god, his theme just started.
That's well timed.
When he's here. Gotta say, I do love this render of Ganondorf just staring straight forward.
It's pretty good.
Like, yeah.
All right.
So, okay, so now we're on to DLC, and mine are also in pairs, so you can reveal them 2 at a time. And first pair, don't worry, Dusty, I've got your back. I've got a Hyrule Warriors 1 theme to start with. Like I said, I forgot, I didn't know Sia was actually still around in the canon, so I was like, I should probably have people like Sia, right? I should probably include her. I'll make her DLC because I can't fit her into the story, and also Epona. Like originally, I had Pona on the base roster, but then I swapped, and the Great Fairy as DLC, but then I swapped them round. There was no way I wasn't going to have Epona. Yeah,
Epona is as the weapon for Link, right?
Yes,
and not just Epona, the horse running around on her own. I had to ask because, like, in your other Link weapon ones, Link was on there as well, but this one's just Epona.
Yeah,
so I had to ask.
Yeah, I made all these icons myself, and I was just like, I can't be bothered to squeeze Link into there, so
that's fair.
I have Epona on instead. So that's the Hyrule Warriors 1 DLC set. Hyrule Warriors 2, not Hyrule Warriors 2, DLC 2, we're going for Tears of the Kingdom.
Ooh.
Oh, recall.
So, yes, so Rauru, I was thinking like throughout this. Originally I was going to have Ocarina of Time Rauru, then I thought I should probably have Tears of the Kingdom Rauru, because I had the whole Sage thing going, I don't have a Sage of Light.
Yeah.
And Zelda's obviously the Sage of Time, but then I was like, I've already got like a lot on. I've already got quite a lot on here. Do I even need Rauru? Rauru's technically not a sage in Tears of the Kingdom. He's just the king. He just has light powers.
Mm-hmm.
So does he count as a sage and all this? And in the end, I decided, okay, DLC. I'll make Rauru one of the DLC choices, and then I'll give Zelda a sage-themed ability.
Mm-hmm.
So she has. I was going to give her the Sheikah Slate. And just bring that moveset wholesale over from Age of Calamity. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, some of the moves from that are kind of similar to Lana's default magic spell thing. Like I'm thinking when you make the ice blocks and stuff like that. I know it's not the same moveset at all, but I just thought they clashed a little, and I wanted something new. So I thought, why don't I give Zelda time abilities? Because technically the recall ability Link uses in that game is Zelda's time magic that she kind of gifts him, if memory serves me right. Mm-hmm. So giving that to Zelda and having an entire moveset based around freezing people and or time shenanigans, throwing stuff and then using time to bring it back. Like you could make a whole moveset around that.
Yeah.
And that gave Zelda something. And then the last two I thought would be very fun for a moveset idea. I kind of lied when I said the Toon Star was gone. We're getting Triforce Heroes in here.
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
So Styla, big poofy dress, has all the different costumes you can call from. She like looks fashionable going down the going across the war zone, dancing about and stuff like that. I thought that would make a really funny looking moveset compared to like having Madam whatever her name is. As the other totem character, and then 3 Links in a trench coat. What like? Of course, they're running around. You can knock them apart. I thought I should have another Link in here as a DLC character, but I wanted a brand new one. And Totem Link is just a really funny idea.
Yeah, this is something, all right.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, not that many villains. Compared, like
Yeah.
I know like you have. I'm pretty sure, unless I'm just not seeing them. You did cut Girahim and Zant, which is really interesting.
Girahim and Zant, yeah. I wanted to focus on the Sage idea, and I was like, let's have Yuga and Skull Kid have a bigger presence, and I'd made a bunch of technically original villains with the Gerudo side of things. So I just thought, I don't really need Zant and Girahim, and in this sort of story, they wouldn't be going to the Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess universes. They'd be going to A Link Between Worlds, Ocarina of Time, Tears of the Kingdom would be the main 3. So I just thought, I can justify cutting Girahim and Zant. They also,
that makes sense.
From a development point of view as well, they weren't originally even meant to be playable, sort of, in the... Like, there's evidence to suggest that like Sia, Volga, and Wizro, they weren't going to be playable originally when the game was going to come out, and then they were made playable. Before,
This is the fact that they were. This is the fact that they were the first DLC.
No. Yeah.
Okay. That's sick. I'm really happy with your like original characters there. That's really cool. So surprise! I found out that the reason we got Ricky so fast is because we have another roster.
Oh no.
So he just gave it to me whole. He's not here to do commentary on it, so I'm just gonna show it to the stream. Dead Hand, yes.
Jesus, how horrifying.
So we've got Link, Zelda, Young Link, Ganondorf, Toon Link, Urbosa, Fi, Sheik, Midna, Tetra, Sidon, who's not been seen yet, Groose, Darunia, Zant, Medley and Makar, Hestu, Girahim, Twin Rope, King Bulbin, King Daphnes. I see what he did.
See what you did.
Yeah. We've got Kilton, we got Mama's Special Little Man,
Oh my God.
Ravio, Dead Hand, Karok, Burn, Master Koga, Yuga, the Deku King. Why isn't he with the other ones? You failed.
Why is he not with the other king? It's because it's not King Deku. That's why.
Oh, perfect. Makes sense. We got Marin, we got Phantom Zelda, we got
Everyone's
Maz,
favorite, Max Koshia.
Tingle specifically from the Wind Waker, Skull Kid, Ricky.
That's Adventures, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the Force
no.
Adventures art.
I'm a fake fan. Fake fan.
holding that force
Lady
gem off
Maud,
the screen.
Mineru, specifically the mech, Lana, Impa, Sia, Vati.
I couldn't find good artwork of just the mech, which is why I used the other one. I think there's a bit more if you scroll down. Oh no, that's actually
That's it. That's
behind.
the end. That's the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, thank you. Hub.
Thanks, Hub.
I'm actually going to say I did really consider having a king like King Daphnis or King Rome on my roster, but I didn't want to have the tunes, and I didn't want to bring Rome back, and I couldn't think of another king to. I didn't want to make an OC king because they'd already established that Zelda's not a princess in Hyrule Warriors; she's a queen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was thinking similar kind of thing myself. I originally did have King Daphnis on mine originally back from Wind Waker because I didn't feel like many other ones would work. Like Rome, unless I pulled specifically from Age of Calamity where he's still alive, probably wouldn't work. Like there was definitely some back and forth thoughts there, but then I decided, you know what, Varu's a king, so he counts.
Lady Maud and Kilton were the first choices. FYI.
That's amazing.
All right, so we had some technical difficulties before the stream. We started like 45 minutes late, and that's because I couldn't get mine assembled in time. So we're gonna be assembling it live. I have all of the slots ready, and I have put way too much effort into this. I came up with an entire plot concept accidentally after I made my first decision for this roster. Now you may be asking, what kind of first decision can you make that makes like such an impact? Like, what is the first? Why is Link such an issue? My first character is not Link.
Oh.
We did it. Here's Linkle, the main character of the video game.
Amazing.
Now
Strong.
that's original artwork. I drew this. So I was going to draw original artwork for all of the OC characters, but then I ran out of time. I didn't even get a chance to shade the second one. So here's the render I made for reference. Now you may see here, you may notice something about this render. Why has Linkle got the Master Sword and the Hylian shield? I wonder.
There. It's because Link's got the crossbows. No.
We got no Link.
Wow. Okay.
No Link.
This is not.
Wow. This is. You mean this is set before Wind Waker?
Okay, so this is a sequel to Hyrule Warriors, but It's not the same cast as Hyrule Warriors.
Okay.
Okay.
We're going with a different kind of setup. Linkle is the main character, and because of that, we have a few things with Linkle. I brought back her crossbows because they're fun as hell, and I love Link's crossbow training.
Right.
And I brought back the magic rod. That's a Link weapon.
Link
Okay.
is dead, so-
Link is dead. Now, I didn't have enough time to draw Zelda for this. So, I've used Hyrule Warriors Zelda as just a stand-in. Zelda, her moveset in this game is actually going to be using the Phantom like a stand.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
I love Spirit Tracks. I wanted to give it something major. So we have the Phantom as a stand moveset, and just to cover my bases, I've also included her regular moveset with the rapier and the Bow of Light from Age of
Hey.
Calamity.
Nice.
Now, finally, we have Impa, who is the only other character I was able to draw something for. Now, this is actually one of her concept art designs from Hyrule Warriors.
Nice.
And this specifically is the Naginata by default.
Okay.
But she'll also have the giant blade and the Kodachi.
Hey, all right, combining them all.
alright.
Nice.
Yes. Okay. So, in order to explain what's going on, we're going to have to go further down the roster. So I'm just putting these guidelines here so I don't get tripped up too much by placement.
Okay.
So we have. Oh, thank you for the $5 from Zach.
Nope.
I have arrived as a Shadow Link has shown off their specifically crafted devious roster.
You arrived just in time to see it come out.
Yes. So further down we have
Don't worry, Zach. I had Agatha.
our Ganondorf, who is specifically a younger Ganondorf, who has actually been pushed into action by two devious little creatures who are causing him to enact a sort of chaos on the world in order to claim the throne for his own. And because I really liked this in the original Hyrule Warriors, how they took two, one boss and one standard enemy, and made them like OCs that had like cool designs. I didn't have a chance to draw them, but we have our OCs, which are specifically a person who is wearing the Redead mask.
Nice.
Okay, so not actually a read that.
Not actually a Redead. They are called Reedy. And we have somebody, actually, not somebody, but rather something, which will be activated by some kind of malevolent force. We have Kolos, which is Koloktos from Skyward Sword. But they have been kind of corrupted by some kind of evil power.
Probably put OC next to the names just to make sure that.
Oh no, they'll be drawn later.
Oh, okay.
I am not going to stop until the artwork is done.
I guess that Twitter
Nice.
poll is going up late then.
Yeah, the poll is going up late. I'm so fucking sorry. Alright, so from beyond the time stream, we have two characters crossing over because they realize that something has gone awry with the specific timeline that this game is on. So we have Sia and Lana, the Guardians of Time. Now, specifically, I have them as the same character, But you know how in Hyrule Warriors, where you have a super meter, and you can upgrade that super meter, like, to 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
They only have 1. And it is actually filled at the start, when you play as them. And when you use that super, you switch to the other character.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's not like King Rome, where in movesets they can swap between
No.
the old man.
It is
moveset
2
and
characters
the
in
regular
one.
combo.
It is 2 characters in one.
Mhm.
And then you can swap back once you fill up the meter again for like a super move that switches back. Sia is the default, but then it will switch to Lana.
Oh yeah.
Now-
Actually, I guess let me. Sorry.
Yeah,
to
what's up?
tangent off. What was the reason that Sia and Lana can't fuse back together? There was a reason.
they can't.
For it.
They just can't. They both exist as independent beings. So
Okay.
they're not one being in this. They just swap out.
Yeah, I just thought this is the time to ask because I was thinking that would be like
Yeah.
a good plot point for a future Hyrule Warriors to like refuse them, but
Don't need to.
mhm.
I like that they're both like cool characters with their own personality individually. So it would be a shame to fuse them back into one because from what I can understand, their base personality is just milquetoast. And they split off into 2 extremes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now the reason that Sia and Lana are here is because they have realized that the soul of the hero has been trapped. And actually, the soul of the hero has been trapped at the very beginning of the timeline.
Okay.
Okay.
So, this rift that's been opened by Ganondorf and his minions, Kolos and Reedy, it expands the whole timeline.
Oh.
And so that brings in characters from the middle of the timeline, which would be Rudo,
Okay.
another returner, and Naboru,
Okay.
Ooh.
who is donning the Iron Knuckle armor.
Yeah,
Nice,
I
nice.
considered this when I was doing that OC character to have them maybe with a giant axe and based off of the Iron Knuckles.
There are also characters brought in from the very beginning of the timeline. So we've got Fi,
Mhm.
and everyone's favorite, the clean sweeper of tonight, Groose.
Yo,
Yeah.
the goose is loose.
And then we've got characters from the end of the timeline, with Daruk
Okay.
and Urbosa.
Nice. I'm honestly surprised that you have any Breath of the Wild characters.
I like Age of Calamity.
Okay.
Age of Calamity is a very fun game.
It is, this is true.
So while we can't exactly bring the villain of Ocarina of Time here, Twinrova would be cool, but I didn't go for Twinrova. But I do have also coming from the edges of the timeline, Girahim.
Good old Girahim.
Mhm.
Zach has donated $2 and asked for the Groose fan cam.
I can't play that. I'm pretty sure the music they used for it is copyrighted.
Aw.
And we've got Master Koga.
Hey, nice.
Hey.
Master Koga is loyal to Ganondorf, but Girahim seems to be scheming in the shadows.
As he does.
As he does.
And over the course of the game, it is revealed that Girahim is actually the force behind all of this. He is the reason that the timeline has been messed up. And that is because he has been trying to bring back his master,
you have
Demise.
Oh.
So what's what's Ganondorf's movesets?
Okay, yeah, I forgot to explain this, but Ganondorf is going to be a magician, like his Ocarina of Time appearance, but incorporating some stuff from like Super Smash Brothers. I really like that Warlock type, which is like brute force, but with very strong dark magic. I think that's really cool. It's really strong characterization for Ganondorf, and I wanted to use that here. But with Demise, I have sort of saved some of that original Hyrule Warriors Ganon because he uses a sword.
Yes.
So while it's not the exact same dual sword moveset, it would have a very similar feel to each of those combos. So, Sia and Lana work their magic, and they manage to pull the hero spirit that has been trapped, unable to reincarnate. And so, from the prequel manga, we have Hylia's chosen hero.
So Link is still here.
They're called Link in the manga. I'm ignoring it. They're never called Link in the actual canon. We still don't have a character named Link on the roster. So we've got Hylia's hero coming in to save the day. I've also preserved the Gauntlets moveset because it's sick as hell.
Someone has it.
Amazing.
So we've got I don't know how I did that. Wrong hotkeys. So we've got all of these heroes. And we've got Kolos with Girahim. Girahim's controlling Kolos and working with Demise. Girahim is now like Demise's sword. So this overwhelming force with Demise and his underlings needs to be taken down. And in order to do that, Ganondorf joins forces with the heroes for one epic battle.
Nice.
And then, after Demise is well and defeated, he reveals his true colors. He betrays them all and takes on his most powerful form.
Oh boy. We're getting Ganon as like an actual...
Ganon as an actual character, using heavily that Trident moveset that he was given in Legends.
Ooh, okay.
So I preserved all of Ganondorf's weapons with different characters.
Hey, look, that's not too weird either, considering the original Hyrule Warriors has Midna and Twilight Midna as two separate characters.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the storyline. I had a hell of a time making that. I had so much fun. I pulled from Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword, Ocarina of Time for the main game. But we're not done with the main game just yet, however, because there's some characters from that time period that's been breached. And so I have my own Agatha.
Okay.
Your own Agatha.
Your own Agatha. Oh no.
Yeah, that's right. We've got Kamaro from Majora's Mask. This was the second character I chose for this roster.
How horrifying.
Amazing.
And also, I have the Great Fairy.
Yeah.
Separate from Link.
Okay.
They act on their own.
Yeah.
Fair.
Alright, so I actually have quite a lot of DLC compared to the others. But before I get into that...
10 DLC? Yeah.
I have 10 DLC. Before we get into that, I have two more characters, which are Linkle with the horse.
Okay.
The horse is still here, and also I have also brought back Sheik, but it's Ocarina of Time Sheik this time.
Okay.
And this is separate from the storyline. Sheik's not there during the story.
Yeah, it's like how I have Sheik in it as well,
Yeah.
just as an extra character.
But it's the same moveset fundamentally. I mean, Sheik and Hyrule Warriors is already themed around all of the warp songs and
Yeah.
like the Song of Storms
Right.
from Ocarina of Time, so it just makes sense to just do
It-
Sheik.
Very presented as an Ocarina of Time character, except in base design,
Yeah.
basically.
And then finally, I have one more weapon for Hylia's chosen hero.
Okay.
Oh.
The bug net and fishing rod.
Together.
Yes, the bug net
The ultimate
is
captain
the
tool.
the bug net is like the Y button. The fishing rod is the X button.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I hope he has some bottles as well to put Stu in.
Oh, absolutely. Just all of the random miscellaneous items that also double as weapons over the course of the series. Look, you can knock back strong bolts of magic with the bottles. He should be able to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm starting off the DLC with the 2 OCs from Hyrule Warriors.
Okay.
So I've got Volga
Yeah.
and I got Wizro.
Volga
Okay.
and Whisperer get to live.
They get to live. They're not in the story, but they get to live.
Even though they didn't get to live in the actual original game.
Don't worry, it's not canon. Now we have Tingle.
Oh yeah, there he
Uh,
is. Alive.
This is actually... I've got them in pairs of 2. So we've got the Majora's Mask characters. We
Okay.
got young Link back using the Razor Sword and the Fierce Deity Mask.
Safety mask.
Yeah. And then the next set we've got actually are Toon games. We've got Tetra from Wind Waker. Wanted to keep that around. But if you wanted to know why I know this guy's Power Region name, it's because I also chose Burn for my roster.
Yeah. Good.
I love him. He is like the best. He has like such exciting moments. Spirit Tracks is so good. If you haven't played Spirit Tracks, try to play it. Just give it a shot. And if it's not for you with like the way it controls and stuff, watch the story. The story is so
Yeah.
good.
It's very good.
The next set we've got is actually going to be Twilight Princess, and I've got Midna, who will have a different moveset. I don't like the Mirror of Twilight moveset, personally. So I would have her do what she does in Imp form, summoning a bunch of like Wolf Link clones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh damn! I just realised you added a named Link to the roster. Slink.
Yeah, there is finally a name.
Yeah.
There is a
In
named
the
Link.
it took until the DLC. And then we have Zant. And then finally, I've got the Nintendo Switch pack.
no.
Now, the reason that I'm framing it as that is because the first character in it is Marin from Link's Awakening. And then finally, the last character is Tulin from Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes!
Yay!
Man,
So
I
I-
should have kept it in mind so we could have clean slated Hyrule as well.
I really hope you enjoyed this. I had so much fun making this. I'm gonna be making artwork for Zelda and the Kolos and the Redead later, but oh my god.
Nice.
No, this
I had
this
so
was
much
very
fun. I had so
Maybe
much
I'll-
fun.
Maybe I'll see if I can find time to make that artwork for Blind that I didn't get a chance to.
Oh, be my
If
guest.
you're already working on stuff, though, then maybe I'll go ahead.
Yeah.
And find time to do that.
But yeah, those were our 3 rosters for today. I had so much fun with this stream and with making these rosters too.
Yeah, I've had my idea for Hyrule Warriors 2 for a while.
Mhm.
Actually, an article I wrote before joining Source Gaming, I think it was the article that Push found me, was
Mhm.
an article where I'm talking about what I want to see in Hyrule Warriors 2.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
This was like before Legends came out, so a lot of it is
Yeah.
Wind Waker based.
I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hyrule Warriors 2 concept is long term thing in my brain.
I also wanted to show the model reference that I made for Zelda when I finally get around to drawing her, because some of you may recognize this pose. It's that weird pose that she does when she's summoning the Phantom in Smash Brothers, but it's so obviously like JoJo inspired. I
Yeah.
love that pose. It is going to be
Need the
this.
sound effects.
Yeah, it's so
Turn
good.
around.
I'm gonna put the menacing symbol in the background.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Nice.
But yeah, so much fun, so much fun. Are we just about wrapped up now? Should I put on the
Yeah.
end screen, or do we
Yeah,
have any
I-
final thoughts?
I think this was good. I've really enjoyed it. I want to do Hyrule Warriors for a while, and I like that all three of us had like very different approaches
Yeah.
Yeah,
to how we wanted to tackle our moveset. Because there's always a big fear when you're covering one specific game like this that a lot of characters are going to get crossover.
And there actually wasn't that much, to be
Yeah.
honest.
yeah.
Except for the returning characters for obvious reasons.
And
Yeah, for obvious
Bruce.
Hey, Bruce is the one sweep we all had, as deserved.
As
Alright.
deserved, indeed.
Yeah.
Thanks
But,
everyone for
before
watching
we
us.
do our sign
Oh,
off,
yeah.
Chris, why don't you let
Yeah.
people know where they can find you?
Oh yeah,
Yes, yes. You guys can find me on my own YouTube channel, Toontress, or Twitch or Twitter, all under the name Toontress. I'm still doing a bunch of like features, analyses, all those different things I'm well known for, just on my own stuff now.
Yeah.
Alright.
We'll chuck a link. We'll throw a link into Triss's channel in the description.
thank you so much for
Yeah,
joining us.
already.
And
this was a lot of
thank
fun.
you to
Yeah,
all
thank
of our
you.
viewers and patrons on Patreon. You can find the link to our Patreon in the description. It helps us make things like this. I'm going to be making a video on my Hyrule Warriors concept. It'll come out. I swear I will make a new video. All right. Have a good one. And always remember to return to the source.
Bye, guys.
Bye.